Hello, this is Shan Chandrasekar welcoming you to another delightful part of our programming. We have an extremely distinguished guest in the studio here with us today. He's an elected member of parliament and now a cabinet minister, none other than the Minister for Sports, Government of Canada in Prime Minister Stephen Harper's cabinet, a shining star, I should say, Honorable Bal Gosal. Bal, welcome to the show.
Oh, Shan, thank you very much, first of all, giving me the time and opportunity and come to visit your studio and talk to you in person.
It's a pleasure. You know, Bal, I had the pleasure of traveling with you to India recently. I must say, to congratulate you. What a tremendous trip that you had organized. It was a nice combination of under the leadership of Prime Minister Stephen Harper, yourself, and Honorable Tim Uppal, and a host of other members of Parliament and some senators. It was a great trip. Tell me about this particular trip, in terms of Indo-Canadian trade relations and economic, cultural, and all aspects of the relationship between the two countries.
Oh, as you said, Shan, it was a great trip, and we've been planning this trip for last over a year now. And finally, we went, as you know, we have been discussing free trade agreement with India. We have done 5 rounds of negotiations, and 6th is starting in Ottawa soon. And Prime Minister wanted to go there personally, talk to Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and do a little bit of a push to move the talks a little bit forward. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh came in 2010 for the G20 summit, and they had a very aggressive agenda to have the trade done by 2013. We've been very fortunate. India is a great growing economy, and Canada is a developed economy, and both economies need each other. Trade is very important to Canada to create jobs. Every 5th job in Canada depends on trade. For that reason, it was a very successful trip. And as you know, we had bilateral trade talks. We signed 3 agreements, and I also did some cultural stuff as well.
That's wonderful. Well, congratulations. I must admire you because it was a new experience for me because I didn't realize how hard elected officials work and how hard our cabinet ministers and our prime minister worked, because there were breakfast meetings from 7 o'clock in the morning, and then there were meetings throughout the day, one after the other. In between, there was a little bit of a sightseeing, and again back to work. So, again, our compliments to you. I think, there was a lot of meetings back to back, and quite a bit was accomplished.
Well, as you know, we met with the Indian delegations. I personally met with the sports minister of India, Jitendra Singh. He was new on the job. And we had a great meeting, great cooperation we can do. And also we talked about India's sports system, Canada's sports system, and how we can help each other out. And then we signed 3 agreements, nuclear administration agreement, and also we signed another one on social security. And biggest one was, to me, science and technology and cooperation between universities. Wonderful. That was a great achievement.
Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Tell me about your involvement in the Olympics and the outstanding success that the Olympics brought for Canada.
Oh, as you mentioned, I've always been a sports fan. I played soccer through my college and
You were called Soccer Dad, if I remember.
Yes, I am, and I played soccer through my college and university. I coach soccer here in Brampton.
Right.
We actually, as a matter of fact, we started a soccer league in Brampton. In our Gurdwara, Ontario Khalsa Darbar Soccer League, and it's officially registered with the Ontario Soccer League as well. And when I got a phone call from Prime Minister after I won the election that Prime Minister wants to have a meeting with me, and that was a biggest surprise of my life. And when I went and talked to Prime Minister, and he gave me the responsibility for sports, that was the biggest honor of my life.
Wonderful.
Coming as an immigrant to Canada, and then winning the Member of Parliament election was a great achievement, I thought. And then getting into the cabinet after my win on May 2nd, that was a great honor. And since then, sports when my passion. And then becoming a sports minister, it was a great. I would say it was a great honor to see the sports on that side. I mean, Government of Canada is single largest contributor to sport, amateur sport in Canada. We spend over $200 million
Wow.
on sports. And my first experience was attending the Pan Am Games in Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico, October of 2011. And it was a great experience. Went to the opening ceremonies, watched some of the sports, and watch our athletes win some medal. Then we went to the closing ceremony with the Governor General. And since we're hosting the 2015 Pan Am Games right here in Toronto, GTA, so I went on the stage to take the flag officially from the host city to the next hosting city. There was 50,000 people in the closing ceremonies, and that was a lifetime experience to grab that flag and see that flag come into Toronto with Mayor Rob Ford on the stage with me. It was out of the world, that experience.
That's wonderful. So tell me about the scope of the ministry.
Well, as I said, we spend over $200 million on amateur sports. We're the
Right.
single largest contributor, and there's 54 national sports organizations which government sports.
Wow. Uh-huh.
And they are, every sport have their own national sports organization. We do the sport three ways. We support the national sports organizations, then we support the athletes directly.
Right.
There's
Uh-huh.
an athlete assistant program
Excellent.
where we pay monthly money to the athletes.
Uh-huh.
They have to be carded athletes on top of your game. And then also we support hosting programs. We host international competitions,
Right.
and the government of Canada helps with them hosting the programs.
Excellent.
And as you know, we are hosting 2015 Pan Am Games.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. And Government of Canada is spending $500 million on infrastructure and legacy programs.
Wow.
So we're building new velodrome. It's going to be built in Milton. That's the second only in North America and first in Canada where cyclists can train 12 months a year.
Wow.
And we're building aquatic center at Scarborough campus of University of Toronto. We just announced the new track and field stadium at York University.
Wow.
And soccer stadium in Hamilton. So that's coming along really nicely. And also we are hosting World FIFA Soccer Championship in 2015, Women's World FIFA Cup in Canada as well.
That's wonderful. Well, I have to thank you as well. I'm on the advisory board of the president of York University, and they were so happy regarding your recent announcement in terms of your collaboration with York University in terms of this new stadium.
It was great to be there, and when we announced that, everybody was so happy. York Stadium is going to be great. It's going to be a great track and field stadium, and it's going to produce future Olympians from there.
Tell us about your own background, because I noticed one thing. In Delhi, in fact, you put me to shame because early in the morning I'm coming out and I was sipping a cup of coffee, and I see you coming out of the gym, and you were working out, and you were in terrific shape. So tell me about the importance that you attach to all of Canada to give a message in terms of keeping in good shape, physically, fitness aspect.
Well, as the saying is, you have to lead by example.
Mhm.
And I've always been involved in sports, and then I try to go to the gym 5 days a week and work out early in the morning.
Mhm.
And when I'm home, I have a gym close to my house.
Mhm.
And when I'm on the road, I always book a hotel where there's a nice gym. That's my only requirement. I don't care what the rooms are, but as long as there's a nice gym. If you go early in the morning, it's much better. Then your day goes great. And this physical fitness is very important for health.
Right.
And also your mind is sharp when you work out.
Right.
So I worked out, and also being a sports minister, I go to different sporting events.
Right.
And I like to try different sports as well.
Sure.
I played soccer all through my life. Then last year got involved in running a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I did 10K at the Calgary Stampede.
Wow.
This summer, and this is my second time. First year I did it, and this year did it a second time, and I was very happy. I wanted to bring it under 1 hour.
Wow.
I did 10K in 56 minutes. So that was very important to me. It worked out really well. And then with some of the Olympians, I did the CN Tower climb last October.
Wow, really?
And that was important, especially going with our Olympians. And also, I started watching rugby, learned rugby.
Uh-huh.
I played rugby for the first time on the hill this year with the national rugby team.
Wow.
And I think it's important when you go among the athletes and talk to them and play their sport and get involved, and they're very happy with that, and that is very important.
I noticed that you've also encouraged young athletes from our own community, especially Arjun Bala was an example because of his role in wrestling in terms of his accomplishment. He did win a medal as well in the Olympics, and it was very nice that you are supporting people of that nature as well. So tell us a bit about those initiatives.
Well, it is very important. We try to bring Olympic and Paralympic athletes to different communities, and these athletes are great inspiration and role models for
Right.
young Canadians.
Right.
And especially in the South Asian community as well, our community. They all love sports.
Right.
And parents love sports. At one time, you and I know that our parents wants all of us to be either doctors or lawyers or engineers.
Right.
But there is, sports is as important as well.
Your community involvement has been astounding. You were a member of the Board of Trade Marketing Committee in Brampton. You were on the board of directors of the Peel Region Children's Aid Society, YMCA. You've been involved in several organizations like that. Tell us about, you've given back to the community, not just only after you became a minister, but way before.
No, that's right. I been involved in the community for a long time through my university days. I was involved in some cultural programs when I was at university and different clubs. And when I moved to Brampton, and then I got involved at the community level. YMCA was the first ever board, regional council. They asked me to get on that board, and when you go to YMCA, see those people giving their time as volunteers. It's very important. And my hats go out to anybody who volunteers even an hour a day or hour a week. That is given back to the community. And, you learn, and then I was fortunate enough that with the support of my wife and my family, that she gave me some free time, and I was able to volunteer at different places. Whether it's a hospital in Brampton, Peel Memorial Hospital. Then we built a new hospital, Brampton Civic Hospital. I was very much involved on the foundation side, and also Brampton Board of Trade Marketing Committee. And then when Premier Mike Harris appointed me to Peel Police Services Board, I had the honor to serve on the board for 2 years. Before that, actually, I served on Ontario Film Review Board for 4 years.
Wow, I see.
And that was quite an experience as well. So I think it's very important to get involved in the community, volunteer some of your time back to the community, and you learn a lot. You learn about the community, you learn about the different communities that live in your neighborhood, and I think it's very important. I encourage each and everyone who's watching this program to volunteer, even if you can volunteer an hour of your time. It's very important.
That's wonderful. Well, there's another feather to your cap. I guess you initiated Canada's, I think probably the first policy, which was a sports policy, integrating federal and provincial governments together in terms of all the ministers of sports in different states and different provinces across Canada. Tell me about that initiative.
There was a sports policy that was developed back in 2002.
I see.
Okay, that was the first ever sports policy in Canada. But only thing was developed by federal and provincial governments and implemented by both levels of the government. Then 10 years were up, and we started a review of that policy. About 2 years ago, we consulted with 4,300 Canadians from coast to coast to coast.
Wow.
It was national sports organizations, community organizations, municipalities, and then last June, I get together with all the provincial ministers in Inuvik, Northwest Territories.
Wow.
And that was a great, amazing experience as well. And that's where we developed this new sports policy framework. And that is very comprehensive policy that is very inclusive to all Canadians of all ages, all abilities. And implementation of this policy is through all different organizations, not just the government, all through different organizations. And other, Canada is such a great and amazing country to visit. Shan, I'll tell you, Inuvik, I went there for the first time, and we went in June. In Inuvik, sun rose on 17th of May, and it was going to go down for the first time on 29th of July.
Wow.
It was 24 hours of daylight.
Wow.
That was an amazing experience as well.
Wow. Wonderful. Earlier when we were speaking, you mentioned about, your wife and your family. Behind every successful man, they say there's a very successful woman. Your charming wife has been very helpful to you in your career, from what I understand. She stood by you. Because entering politics demands enormous amount of sacrifice as well, in addition to normal work hours. So tell me about your family, and how they feel about yours getting out of business, because you were primarily in investment advice. You were a financial planner. I remember you have your bachelor's degree from Punjab, and then you did further engineering degrees as well. So tell me about this transition to politics.
Oh, I'll tell you, I moved to Canada in 1981, and I was in British Columbia,
Right.
and went to Connell, BC. It's a small town, about 450 miles north of Vancouver, and got married there to my beautiful wife, Pavanjeet. And then we both went to college, and I did stationary engineering 4th class in Prince George, BC.
Oh, I see.
And then 82, 83, it was really bad economy in out west. Went to Calgary for a little bit,
I see.
and then 83 I moved to Ontario. Both of us came here, and since then I've been here. And my 3 kids all born in Brampton. I have 2 daughters, beautiful daughters, and a son.
Lovely.
And I'm very proud of all 3 of them. My older daughter is going to be a doctor in next couple of months.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And my son did a law degree, and now he's working with his mother, taking over my job. And my younger daughter, she's at the University of Ottawa and Carleton University, doing international business.
Wonderful.
And now my wife runs the business. We are both running a small insurance and financial planning business. And she's been, I would say, the backbone of the family, while I'm doing all the community work, and while I'm getting involved in politics. She's been the backbone of her family, taking care of all the back end stuff, which usually you don't see. And so it's been great. She stood by me, and when I ran for politics, she was at work till 4:30. From 4:30 to 9:30, 10 o'clock, she was at the campaign office helping out with everything. And I'm very proud of my family and their support.
Very impressed, watching you, people like your colleague, Honorable Tim Uppal, and of course the Prime Minister addressing press conferences in Delhi, for that matter. And you have a very close working relationship with your colleagues and your team. What kind of a rapport do you have with the Prime Minister, and how would you describe that?
Well, one thing, I became a great admirer of Prime Minister Stephen Harper for his work ethics. And when he first became the leader of the Alliance Party, and I met him at that time, and we had discussions in Brampton about merging both parties, and we merged parties, and he became the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. And I think in our government he's number 1 economist, and he's a number 1 sports fan. It's surprising, Prime Minister Harper wrote a book on hockey, ice hockey, but we published. And then every time you talk to him about sports, he has knowledge of every sport. And he's I think he's the best Prime Minister we have when you round up overall, economy, sports, social. he plays a piano.
Yeah.
And
He sings well too.
Sings well, and knowledge of the music, knowledge of Canadian history, Canadian history about either it's War of 1812 or political history or sports. I think he's a great role model, and it's an honor to work with him. In his cabinet, and he will sit down and talk to you. You can ask him any advice. You can go talk to him. You've seen at the trip. He went out to the community and he will stand there for hundreds of pictures. He's got patience. It's amazing, especially when we went to China.